Today on the Superhero Forge podcast, we're talking about identity shifts, and Doctor, aka Daddy Fate. How's it going, guys? Welcome back to Superhero Forge podcast. I am Troy Bushido, certified personal trainer, longtime cosplayer, Dungeons and Dragons geek, and Power Rangers fanboy, and a member of the Bat family, honorary. Geeks, gamers, and cosplayers looking to get into the best shape possible with fat loss, muscle building, muscle toning, and uncovering their own hero identity. Speaking of identities, the training topic is Black Adam, and not Black Adam himself. I know The Rock could get his own press. The Rock has no problems getting his own press. I'm talking about the side characters. I'm talking about the supporting cast that Shazam has, that the first Shazam movie didn't even touch upon. No, Shazam couldn't handle the awesomeness that is Hawkman and Dr. Fate. Specifically Dr. Fate. Now, the reason why I want to talk about Dr. Fate today is if you saw pictures of him, and it probably will pop in a B-roll, if you saw pictures of the guy, you believe that man is Dr. Fate. If you are a Zillennial, if you are a Gen Z, I could go up to you, point at Pierce Brosnan, say, Dr. Fate, but hey, did you know that guy was James Bond? And there is a good 50-50 chance that kid doesn't know it. Unless that youngster watched their own plethora of Bond movies over the course of the years. And quite frankly, I don't know. The Bond movies are getting a little overrated as time goes on. They're a great time capsule of what that 50s, 60s, semi-Cold War era Western super spydom was like. But it hasn't aged well. It really hasn't aged well. Did you know Dr. No was supposed to mimic an Asian? Yeah. But Pierce Brosnan era Bond was that edge of post-Cold War, pre-Y2K, pre-social media Bond. It was such an outrageous Roger Moore era on steroids Bond, so redonkulously crazy Bond that he had to be rebooted, hence the Daniel Craig era. So, you can imagine if you are Pierce Brosnan, you are forever locked and forever known as the guy that did cheesy Bond movies. Like, GoldenEye was a banger. I'll watch GoldenEye to this day. Like that mid-90s, post-Cold War, just on the brink of crazy, but not quite there yet, Bond. And he was just young enough to have bursted on the scene that when you looked at him, and he said, the name's Bond. James Bond. You believed it. They didn't jump the shark yet. Die Another Day jumps the fucking shark. Invisible cars, flip over rocket launchers, a whole palace made of ice, and Madonna thinking she's a Bond chick. How would you ever come back from that? Being the last Bond before the studio's like, Matt, we gotta wipe our hands clean and start Bond over from scratch. And make him gritty. Because it was 2000s, everything had to be gritty. Bond had to be gritty. Batman had to be gritty. But, fast forward to now, and people are looking at Pierce Brosnan like, damn, that man, that silver daddy. Even I'm saying that. And I am a bit of a personal touch. My sexual orientation is femme preferred. Take that as you will. But even then, I'm like, okay, Daddy Fate, I see you. I see what's up. Like, they thought Young Justice had, like, the perfect incarnation and perfect portrayal of Dr. Fate. Dang, Brosnan nailed it. He might steal the show from The Rock. I don't know. We'll see. But that's the thing about identity. You can shift it at any time. It takes a little bit of time because it takes falling into a new set of habits. It takes a new set of falling into a demeanor, a posture, a way of doing things on a consistent basis. This is the coaching tip that we're going to fall into. You know me. And if you know the podcast so far with Superhero Forge, we love talking about the topic. I love spitting my opinion about the topic. And then we get to the coaching. We then get into Coach Troy's tips and tricks. I have a book. Listened to an audiobook and I loved it, and it integrated into my coaching for all my clients, no matter where I worked or if I did it in my own business, which is Superhero Forge. Fortunately, then my current remote job employer loved it also and sent me a copy of the book. So James Clear's Atomic Habits is one of the most fundamental books that I use to coach all my clients. And so, hey, you want tricks of the trade? Get this book. And in the early part of the book, it's only one chapter worth, but it's worth so much about identity shifting. And I'm just going to spit the summary right here, right now, to give you the value and give you the insight on what it takes to change your identity. Because you don't have to be exactly the same way as you were before. In fact, if you were the same exact way as you were before, something's wrong. You shouldn't be the same person you were 5 years ago, much less 10, much less 20. There's 3 levels of change when it comes to any sort of change, whether it's fitness change, business change, lifestyle change, habits change, any change. There's the outcome change, what you want to happen, the process change, what it takes to get there, and then the identity change. It isn't what you want to achieve, losing weight, whatever. It's about what you wish to become. I want to be so athletic that I'm a wannabe superhero. If I had to save somebody in any way I can, I would have the body and mind and spirit to be able to do so. I could rescue a cat from. I could help a child run from a burning building, if not carry them myself. I can fight if I have to. Those are traits of what I like to call the wannabe superhero, or everyday hero. Call it what you want. But if you notice, it went beyond weight loss. It went beyond getting a 6-pack. It went beyond getting a hot bod, getting a dad bod. It's not what you get. It's not even how you got it, even though that's important too. It's about what did you become on the way. Another big example, we're going a little bit outside of Dr. Fate here. Thor, Love and Thunder. Thor was still the same Thor, despite being big, buff, and lean in Love and Thunder, and being thicker in Endgame. Maybe Thor wanted a more vain appearance. He wanted to improve his vanity, and I do air quotes for those who are listening to this. So yes, he gets a training montage of battle ropes and jumping jacks and carrying giant things. But it didn't change his identity. He always had the identity of being the strongest Avenger. Now, was Pierce Brosnan going to end up being known as the cheesy Bond? No, he's a talented veteran actor. Knows how to dive into a character and fully immerse himself into said character. And so when you do character prep, like Daddy Fates, when you take those identity shifts and reinventions into your own life, it's a test. Because, and I quote from Atomic Habits, becoming the best version of yourself requires you to continuously edit your beliefs and upgrade and expand your identity. One of my favorite examples of reinvention was professional wrestler and touring rock star Chris Jericho. Nowadays, his gimmick is which gimmick. Nowadays, his identity is which identity does he allow out. Chris Jericho nowadays is like the job system in a Final Fantasy game. Does he become Lionheart Chris Jericho? Does he become Y2J with the list? Does he become the cold-hearted Chris Jericho? Does he become the Painmaker? Does he become that champion with a little bit of the bubbly? And does he ditch all the wrestling gimmicks and go on tour with his band? I loved watching Chris Jericho because Everything he did was in shifts of his identity. And he was never afraid to shift the identity according to the situation at hand. If you ever feel like stuck, if you ever feel like certain traits about you are holding you back, ask yourself, look, am I clinging too much of this trait, my identity? I'm 5'7", but I don't say I'm a short Asian. I get to choose how what my identity is. On top of that, I get to adjust its core values. I get to adjust its meaning, just how it impacts the world. Everybody gets that opportunity. That's one thing I want you to remember in mind. And obviously, pick up this book. I don't have a link. I don't get recommending books on my library right now. But if this was definitely helpful, be sure to like and be sure to look for Superhero Forge podcast on Spotify and where all other podcasts are there. And if you are interested in any coaching programs which would shift your identity to bring out your inner hero in body and mind and spirit and awesomeness, I'm always looking for geeks, gamers, and cosplayers to help transform. So hit me up at superheroforge.com. Wow, that was a long outro, but I'll see you guys later at the movies when we talk about Black Adam, and yeah, I'll see you next episode.